hardcore. First hardcore show, when I first went to shows, I didn't even know it was considered hardcore. It was, to me, it was punk rock. It was punk show. My first punk shows, you want to know about that? One of my early first ones, and I think I should mention this, it's probably up there with the top 3, would be a show at the Peppermint Lounge. It's the first time I ever saw Vinny Stigma in the pit. And if I remember correctly, I know I went for the Stimulators, and always been a big fan of Stimulators. But I think the band they were opening up with was the Professionals. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not trying to pump my band, you know. But when I saw Agnostic Front live, it was like one of the hardest things I've ever seen. It was primitive. It was something like, you know, that's why there's always been that love and vibe. It was New York's band. It was a primitive sound. It wasn't never the best band musically or musicians or anything like that, but there was something primitive about it that you just gravitate to it. You know, you gravitate and you're like, fuck, there's something real and genuine about this band. John Watson, man, that dude was, and till date, he'll come out and he'll be in the pit and he'll still do the exact same thing he used to do back then. The Misfits, honestly, the Misfits at Max's Kansas City. I think there's a show where they played either with the Blessed or I don't think they played it with Victims yet. I know they played Binsky's with Victims, but either any of those shows I would have loved. I would have loved to see the Misfits with Bobby Steele. A7, you know, that was home. You know, there was other clubs. Yeah, I'm not gonna not acknowledge all the other clubs. We were there. We're at every show we could be at, but A7 was genuine, was really our true little hub where our little 30 people max scene lived. And then we had the CBs for the matinees, and eventually CBs came around. I would say Staten Island. That was the Paramount. I think it was the name of the theater, I think. I mean, I love SSD Control. Always been inspirational to me. Springer, I've always said Springer was my, you know, when I became a singer, because I was always a bassist, I looked up to Springer. I always did. You know, he's one of my guys. I'm like, oh, if I'm going to sing, I want to be like Springer, you know, combination with John Watts and everything else. But that show, that Kennedy's SSD Control. But the best thing about that thing was, you know, the whole ride getting back, the rides, Diego putting out his chain belt, beating people over the locals over their head. You know, I was always a little bit more I've always been introverted. I'm not a very, you know, that's who I am. It's my upbringing, whatever. And that show really like blew my mind. Like watching what was going on during the show and after show, it was just, it was a mind fuck. I was like, wow, this is fucking sick. Yeah, I lived in a squat. Yeah, I lived in a couple of squats. Yeah, and you know what? It was. I guess I was living on the streets. It was a necessity, warmth in the winter, whatever. And in the summer times, we would hang out in the park and sleep there. Wake up and you're in the park, surrounded by your neighbors, which were bums at the time. But yeah, I definitely lived in a squat, and I raised my daughter in a squat. We raised a family in a squat, believe it or not. There is such thing as, you know, family-oriented squat, especially towards the end of, to the end of the 90s, to be honest with you. And people would walk in, the last squat I lived in, people would walk in, and they'd be just totally amazed because it was nicer than just about any New York City apartment you could ever see. Proof right there, he'll tell you. Wall-to-wall carpet, I hooked it up. I'm an electrician, I'm a carpenter, I hooked it up. But it was nice, it was heat, it was everything. The only thing that it didn't have, and my mom freaked out when she came to visit me, there was no refrigerator. We had a tiny little one later on, but it's because it was wintertime, so we put everything outside in the fire escape, you know? My top 3 Agnostic Front songs would be Victim in Pain. I love Blind Justice. I'm gonna have to stick old school, man. I think Victim in Pain, Blind Justice, Your Mistake are my top 3, to be honest with you. I love all the current stuff too, but top 3, there you go. there's a lot of fond Rabies memories. Rabies, he was a brother, great friend. His involvement in Agnostic Front is incredible. I got a memory. I mean, our rehearsals were always amazing. Like just going to rehearsal, Agnostic Front rehearsal. Rabies used to wear like 30 pairs of pants and 40 shirts, and by the time we'd start rehearsal, by the time we were done, he took everything off because he was so freaking hot, and we were rehearsing this place we called AIDS Studio, only because at the time AIDS was a big thing, and we didn't know where it was from, and it kind of looked like a weird cell infested with who knows what it was. We used to go down these stairs into a dungeon. It was a dungeon. It wasn't a rehearsal studio. It was a guy had a person down there by the Bower, a personal little studio, opened the door before downfield all that stuff, and climb down these stairs into this dungeon. He'll lock us in, and we're like, fuck, we're gonna die here. Obviously, if you believe in something, if you're something you want to follow your dreams. Where they lead you, who knows. The truth is the secret to my success, Agnostic Front success, is being genuine with people, being real with people. Because everybody, people want to relate to something that's real. The minute they feel that there's something, they don't want nothing to do with it. It's just natural human behavior. So be genuine, be real. This is something you want to be a part of. Do history research. Figure out where it came from. I like that. I like when when you get involved in something, you want to kind of check your basics, check your facts. Hardcore has expanded into so many different ways. It's and the one thing that always bothered me the most is that when the minute all those clear divisions started coming. Like I remember when Ian McKay, don't drink, don't smoke, don't fuck. Those are the only 3 rules. Those are the only 3 straight edge rules. I bet there's a shitload more. Now you can't eat that, you can't eat this, you can't say this, you can't say that. And it went from something that was so great to, I don't even know. To be honest with you, if I had to start a band today, I don't know if I would. Because sometimes I feel like I got to hit the stage with duct tape on my mouth and a straitjacket because everybody's watching and waiting to see what you say or what you do. Like if you do a physical move that looks like something else, that looks like that. So it's kind of tough. But in that case, if you want to take that challenge, follow your dreams. Hell no. Is hardcore dead? That's an ignorant statement. I could see what some people say could say something like that. It maybe a little piece of hardcore died in them. You know what I mean? But, we had our special moment. We had our party, It's just not my party anymore. It's someone else's Lower East Side. It's someone else's... Things are done differently than when we did stuff, You got your basement shows and all that stuff. It's just different. It's just not my party, but is hardcore dead? No. And I would never say that, because my past friends think, look at these bands over. No. It's great. It's current. It's still happening. As long as people are being oppressed, hardcore bands will speak about overcoming oppression.